All right, let's be clear. The Second Amendment doesn't say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed unless the government says otherwise. It doesn't carve out exceptions for background checks, waiting periods, or fees. The right to keep and bear arms is exactly that. It's a right. It's not a privilege. It's not a maybe. It's not a we'll see. Yet here we are, so conditioned to government overreach that we jump through hoops just to exercise something that was never the government's to regulate in the first place. So we've allowed politicians and bureaucrats, many who have never even held a gun, to place a chokehold on our Second Amendment rights. From red flag laws to magazine capacity restrictions, gun-free zones, and mandatory background checks, the list of infringements just keeps growing. And somehow we've accepted this. We've let them turn a God-given right into a permission slip. Isn't government overreach and slimy bureaucrats the reason the Second Amendment was written in the first place? Now they regulate it? Take Hawaii, for instance. There's a state who says we recognize the Second Amendment, we just don't allow it in our state. They say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed except for every privately owned public space in the state. Well, the Second Amendment wasn't written for deer hunters. Our founding fathers drafted it to ensure that we, the people, had the means to keep tyrannical government in check. That's right, to override the government if necessary. So how is it that today we let the very institution the Second Amendment was meant to restrain decide how much of it we're allowed to keep? It doesn't happen all at once. It was one small restriction after another. A background check here, a magazine capacity restriction there, common sense gun laws, they told us. And we gun owners, patriots, citizens, too often just sort of went along with it. Now we're living in a culture where these infringements have become normal, or at least expected. Now that's the real danger. We're no longer throwing the tyrants in jail. We're debating with them about how much of our rights we have to give up. Imagine James Madison walking into a modern gun shop. He watches an American citizen fill out forms, hand over ID, and wait for government approval to buy a firearm. What do you think he'd say? Well, he'd be embarrassed that we squandered such an important component of our freedom. In some states, like New York, we even need permission to buy ammunition. We obediently wait days or even months to find out if we're allowed to take home a firearm. In too many cases, that delay becomes a death sentence. The media, the political left, even some on the right have pushed a narrative that runs completely counter to the intent of our founders. They've rewritten the cultural script to convince us that begging for permission is normal. But let's be honest. Every time we walk into a gun shop and let a camera record us, as we register our purchase with the government, we're participating in the slow dismantling of our rights. A right is not a privilege. It's inherent, God-given. It's not something handed out by government. It's something the government is supposed to protect. But we've allowed that right to be eroded. And let's not pretend we're blameless. Too many gun owners have stood by silent, hoping someone else would do the hard work of defending our liberty. So how did it come to this? Well, simple. We got complacent. We let the anti-gun crowd twist tragedies into opportunities to strip rights from law-abiding citizens. We let them rewrite the script while we stayed quiet, hoping it wouldn't get worse. Well, it has. And it will continue until we wake up and fight back. We don't have the luxury of silence anymore. I don't want to be the generation that stood by while the Constitution was gutted and the government grabbed all the power. The good news is we still have a chance. Right now, today, we can push back. We must push back. Every gun law on the books, every single one is an infringement. It's time to stop compromising. And the truth is, the Second Amendment means exactly what it says. No fine print, no exceptions, no permission needed, and no infringements. So ask yourself, what would our founding fathers say? And more importantly, what would our grandchildren say if we don't act now?